The first time I saw Patricia Meadows, she was standing in the middle of Willow Creek's main street with a clipboard, stopping cars to inform them about proper residential conduct. That should have been my first warning. I'm Marcus Chen, and I'd just been appointed as a Regional Facilities Coordinator for the General Services Administration. My job? Overseeing the construction and setup of federal buildings in our district. The latest project was particularly exciting. A brand new federal courthouse right here in Willow Creek, a growing suburb that had finally warranted its own federal facility. The building was magnificent. Modern architecture with clean lines, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a beautiful limestone facade that gleamed in the afternoon sun. We'd broken ground 8 months ago, and now we were in the final stages. The exterior was complete, landscaping was underway, and we were just weeks away from the official dedication ceremony. Federal judges, senators, and even a representative from the Attorney General's office were expected to attend. The courthouse sat on a corner lot at the intersection of Maple Drive and Federal Way. Yes, they'd actually renamed the street for the occasion. Due to some quirky zoning from decades past, the property technically fell within the boundaries of the Willow Creek Estates HOA. Though as federal property, it was exempt from any HOA rules or jurisdiction. We'd had our attorney send a courtesy letter to the HOA board months ago, explaining the situation. Apparently, Patricia Meadows hadn't gotten the memo. Or more likely, she'd gotten it and simply refused to accept reality. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was meeting with a landscaping crew to approve the final placement of the oak trees along the front entrance. The bronze plaques with the Department of Justice seal had just been installed the day before, and everything was coming together beautifully. That's when I heard the voice. "Excuse me. Excuse me." I turned to see a woman in her mid-50s marching across the lawn with a determined stride of someone who'd never been told no in her entire life. She wore a pink blazer despite the warm weather, khaki pants with a crease sharp enough to cut glass, and a lanyard that proclaimed her HOA president, Willow Creek Estates. "Can I help you?" I asked politely. "You most certainly can," Patricia said, her voice dripping with condescension. "I'm Patricia Meadows, president of the Willow Creek Estates Homeowners Association, and I need to speak with whoever is in charge of this establishment." That would be me, Marcus Chen, GSA Regional Facilities Coordinator. She looked me up and down as if I'd just told her I was a janitor. "Well, Mr. Chen, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but this building is in clear violation of at least 17 HOA regulations." I blinked. This is a federal courthouse. Federal property isn't subject to HOA regulations. Her face flushed pink to match her blazer. That's absurd. Every property in Willow Creek Estates falls under our jurisdiction. I don't care if you think you're special because you work for the government. Rules are rules. Federal law supersedes HOA regulations, I explained, keeping my voice calm. We sent a letter to your board months ago explaining. I don't care about any letter. Patricia's voice rose sharply. This building is ugly. Those windows are too modern. The color is all wrong. And don't even get me started on those trees. The HOA requires ornamental pears, not oaks. One of the landscapers behind me coughed to hide a laugh. I appreciate your passion for community standards, but we're not making any changes. This building was designed by federal architects and approved by... Then you'll be hearing from our attorney, Patricia snapped. And you can expect a fine of $500 per violation per day until you bring this monstrosity into compliance. She spun on her heel and marched away, leaving me standing there with my mouth half open. Did that just happen? Asked Jake, the lead landscaper. I think it did, I replied, shaking my head. But she'll calm down once she talks to a lawyer who explains how federal jurisdiction works. I was wrong. So very wrong. 2 days later, I arrived at the courthouse to find something that made my blood run cold. Plastered across the beautiful limestone facade, on the windows, on the bronze DOJ plaques, even on the glass doors of the main entrance, were dozens of bright orange stickers. Each one was roughly the size of a dinner plate and read, HOA violation notice, unauthorized structure, fines accruing daily. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. I ran up the steps, my heart pounding. The stickers were everywhere. Professional-grade adhesive, 2. The kind that would damage the surface when removed. Patricia had violated federal property. She defaced a United States courthouse. My phone was already in my hand, dialing my supervisor. "Jim, we have a situation." Within an hour, the site was swarming with activity. My supervisor arrived. The project architect arrived. And then, because someone had to make the call, the Federal Protective Service arrived, armed federal officers whose job it is to protect federal facilities. And finally, because defacing federal property is a federal crime, 2 very serious FBI agents showed up. I was giving my statement to Agent Morrison, a tall woman with sharp eyes and zero humor in her expression, when I saw Patricia's silver Mercedes pull up to the curb. She got out with her clipboard, clearly ready for round 2. "Oh, this is going to be bad," I muttered. Patricia marched right past the Federal Protective Service vehicles, marked with federal seals and lights, and headed straight toward me. Agent Morrison stepped into her path. "This is a restricted federal facility. I need you to stop right there." Patricia drew herself up to a full height of maybe 5'4". "I am the president of the Willow Creek Estates HOA, and I have every right to inspect properties within my jurisdiction." "This is a United States courthouse. You have no jurisdiction here." "That's what he said." Patricia jabbed a finger at me. "But I know my rights. This building is ugly. It violates community standards, and those stickers stay up until compliance is met." The color drained from Agent Morrison's face. "You're admitting you placed those stickers on federal property?" "Of course I did. It's my duty as HOA president." "You've committed a federal crime. Defacing a federal courthouse is a violation of 18 U.S. Code Section 1361. I'm going to need you to come with me." For the first time, Patricia's confidence wavered. "What?" "No, you can't arrest me. I'm enforcing HOA regulations." "You deface a federal courthouse," Agent Morrison said flatly. "Turn around and place your hand behind your back." The next few minutes were surreal. Patricia went from indignant to shocked to tearfully apologetic as the handcuffs clicked into place. She kept repeating that she didn't know, that someone should have told her, that this was all a misunderstanding. "We sent a letter to your board 8 months ago," I said quietly. "Certified mail." Her face went white. As the FBI vehicle drove away with Patricia in the back seat, Jim clapped me on the shoulder. "Well, that's one for the history books." "What's going to happen to her?" I asked. "Federal prosecutor will make that call. Could be fines, could be probation, could be jail time depending on how the judge feels about someone defacing a courthouse. Ironically, she might end up having her hearing in this very building." The courthouse dedication ceremony 3 weeks later was absolutely perfect. The oak trees had settled in beautifully. The limestone facade gleamed in the autumn sunshine. Sticker-free after professional restoration crews spent 2 days carefully removing Patricia's handiwork without damaging the stone. Federal judges, local politicians, and news cameras captured every moment. During the speeches, the U.S. Attorney made a pointed comment about respecting federal property and the rule of law, and I caught several people in the crowd smirking. Patricia's arrest had made local news. I later heard through the grapevine that Patricia had been fined $25,000, sentenced to 200 hours of community service, and resigned from the HOA board in disgrace. The remaining board members sent a formal apology letter to the GSA and requested educational materials about federal jurisdiction. As I stood in front of the courthouse that evening after everyone had left, watching the sunset reflect off those beautiful windows, I couldn't help but smile. The building was still too modern, and the trees were still oaks instead of ornamental pears. And it was absolutely perfect. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some rules don't apply to everyone. And some Karens learn the hard way that when you mess with federal property, federal consequences follow. Patricia Meadows had wanted to enforce her HOA rules on a United States courthouse. Instead, she became the courthouse's first unofficial defendant.